Have you ever tried to heal, and ended up feeling even more broken than before? You finally gathered the courage to face your pain, and instead of feeling lighter, you felt like you were drowning. Tears you thought you had buried long ago resurface. Memories you tried to forget come crashing back. Fear, anger, sadness, all roaring louder than ever. And a small voice inside you whispers, maybe healing isn't for me. Maybe I'm too broken. But listen carefully. That unbearable ache you're feeling right now, it's not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're finally touching the real wound. Healing doesn't start with bliss. Healing starts with chaos. With shaking hands. With sleepless nights. With a heart that feels like it's breaking all over again. You are not broken because you hurt. You are healing because you hurt. Today, we're going to uncover a truth that no one tells you. Healing hurts so much at first. Because it has to. And once you understand why, you'll realize you are not lost. You are just beginning your true journey home. 1. The wound must be touched to heal. When we are wounded physically, what is the first thing a doctor must do? They have to clean the wound. Even if it means touching the most sensitive, painful parts. Sometimes, the wound has been festering for so long that simply cleaning it feels worse than the original injury. It stings. It bleeds. It burns. And yet, it's the only way to prevent deeper infection and to allow true healing. Emotional wounds are no different. The pain you feel at the beginning of your healing journey is not because you are getting worse. It's because, for the first time, you are touching what you spent years, maybe decades, avoiding. Most of us grow up learning how to suppress pain. We push it down. We smile when we want to cry. We stay silent when we want to scream. We distract ourselves with work, relationships, endless scrolling, anything to avoid sitting with the rawness inside us. But healing demands that we stop running. It calls us to turn inward, to sit quietly with ourselves, and to face the old aches that never really disappeared. And when we finally stop, when we finally listen, the pain surges up like a tidal wave. It feels unbearable. But that is not because you are breaking. It's because you are, finally, allowing yourself to feel. Real healing cannot happen on the surface. It requires going deep, peeling back layer after layer of defenses, coping mechanisms, and masks. It means exposing the wound to air and light. It means telling the truth you've been hiding from yourself. I was hurt. I was betrayed. I was abandoned. I didn't deserve the pain that was given to me. And admitting these truths hurts. Often more than the original experience. Because now you are fully conscious of what happened. Instead of numbing yourself. But here's the miracle, the pain of touching the wound is temporary. It is the pain of cleansing. Not the pain of dying. It is the pain that signals that something inside you is finally beginning to shift. To loosen, to breathe again. You are not weak for feeling it. You are courageous beyond measure. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding this moment. You are choosing to walk through it. And every tear, every shaking moment, every night you spend wrestling with your past is a step closer to freedom. So if you are hurting right now, not because of new injuries, but because of old ones finally being seen, know this. You are doing it right. Healing is messy. Healing is raw. Healing, at first, feels like reopening a wound you tried so hard to forget. But only by touching it. Only by cleaning it. Only by caring for it with full awareness. Can you finally be free, too? You are leaving the familiar behind. One of the most painful parts of healing is the loneliness that sneaks in when you realize you are no longer who you used to be. But you're not yet who you are becoming. You are caught between two worlds. You've started to let go of old habits, old relationships, old patterns that once made you feel safe, even if they were toxic. And now, standing at the edge of the unknown, fear creeps in. You begin to wonder, what if I never find peace? What if I don't recognize myself anymore? We, as human beings, are wired to seek comfort in the familiar, even if the familiar hurts us, even if it slowly destroys us. There is a strange, bittersweet safety in what we already know. We know how to endure pain we've lived with. We've built entire identities around it. I'm the one who always gets abandoned. I'm the one who's never good enough. I'm the one who has to be strong for everyone else. Letting go of these roles, even when they suffocate us, feels terrifying. Because without them, who are we? Healing requires us to walk into the unknown, into a version of ourselves we have never met before. It asks us to believe that something better exists, even when all we have known is survival. It demands trust in a process that feels invisible and intangible. And that trust does not come easily. It's normal to grieve the familiar, even when it wasn't good for you. It's normal to feel lost, disoriented, and scared. You are stepping out of an old life. And that is no small thing. Think of a caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it must dissolve completely inside the cocoon. It doesn't just sprout wings on top of its old body. It melts down to almost nothing. The creature that crawled into the cocoon no longer exists. And for a time, it is nothing but formless potential, suspended between what it was and what it will be. This is where you are when healing feels the most painful. When you have left behind the old, but the new has not yet taken shape. It feels empty. It feels terrifying. It feels wrong. But it is exactly right. Every step you take away from what hurt you is a step toward the life you deserve. Even if you can't see it yet, trust that the emptiness is not your end. It is the sacred space where transformation begins. 3. Your identity is being rewritten. Healing doesn't just fix the surface. It doesn't just patch up your broken pieces and send you back into the world unchanged. True healing rips out the old roots. It dismantles the old foundation. It questions everything you thought you knew about yourself. And in that chaos, in that crumbling, you begin to build something new. Not from the lies you were taught. Not from the fear that once controlled you. But from truth. From love. From freedom. At first, it feels like you are losing yourself. And in a way, you are. You are losing the version of yourself that was built to survive, not to thrive. The version that learned to stay quiet to be loved. The version that blamed itself for other people's cruelty. The version that thought happiness was something only other people deserved. That self, the self you wore like armor, is dissolving. And even though it was heavy, even though it was painful, it was still yours. Letting it go feels like letting a part of yourself die. But that death is sacred. It is the death of illusion. It is the death of fear. It is the death of the small, caged life you were never meant to live. You are not breaking down. You are breaking free. Every time you question an old belief, maybe I am worthy. Maybe I am lovable. Maybe I am not too broken to heal. You are tearing down the walls that once imprisoned you. Of course it hurts. Of course it feels like losing everything. You are losing everything that was never truly you. Healing isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming yourself. The real self that existed before the world taught you to be small, afraid, ashamed. This rewriting of your identity is not a betrayal of who you were. It is a return to who you have always been. deep beneath the pain. And though the journey feels lonely, confusing, and endless at times, every moment you stay committed to your healing brings you closer to your truest self. A self that is not defined by trauma, but by truth. Hold on. Even when it feels like you're losing everything. Sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find yourself. 4. Old emotions must surface to be released. One of the most confusing and painful parts of healing is this: you start doing the inner work. You meditate, journal, breathe deeply, and instead of feeling peace, a wave of old, buried emotions rises from deep inside you. Anger, grief, shame, guilt. Emotions you thought were long gone suddenly crash back into your body like a storm you weren't prepared for. And you start to think, I thought I was healing. Why do I feel worse? But this is not regression. This is release. When we repress emotions for years, decades even, they don't disappear. They settle into our bodies, hidden under layers of busyness, distraction, and numbness. They become knots in our stomach, tension in our shoulders, migraines we can't explain. Healing asks us to go into those hidden places and feel what we once couldn't feel. The pain you're feeling now isn't new, it's been waiting inside you all along, quietly asking to be seen. Think of your emotions like water behind a dam. For years, you kept it all locked up. But healing is the moment when cracks begin to form. And suddenly the water starts to spill. Not because you're broken, but because the dam is finally opening. And that flood? It's cleansing. It's sacred. It's necessary. The tears you cry now are not weakness. They are your body's way of releasing everything it's held onto for far too long. This part of healing feels messy, unpredictable, even frightening. You may cry at random. You may feel angry without knowing why. You may want to isolate yourself. That's okay. Let the emotions come. Let them rise. Don't push them away. Don't judge them. Don't label them as wrong. They are old visitors, finally making their way out. They only want one thing: to be felt, so they can be released. And when they pass, and they will, something beautiful happens. A softness returns to your heart. A lightness comes back into your chest. You begin to breathe more freely. You start to feel like there's space inside you again. Space for peace, for joy, for clarity. So don't be afraid when the old pain rises. It's not here to punish you. It's here to leave you. And the only way out is through. 5. You can't numb the pain without numbing the joy. In a world where we are constantly told to stay strong and move on, we've been taught that pain is something to avoid, something shameful, inconvenient, or weak. So we learn to numb. We distract ourselves with work, with noise, with busyness. We scroll. We drink. We bury ourselves in productivity or people or problems that aren't ours to fix. And for a while, it works. The pain softens. The memories quiet down. We feel functional. But numbness always comes with a price. Because you cannot selectively numb emotions. When you numb your sadness, you also numb your joy. When you shut down your grief, you also shut out wonder. When you avoid your heartbreak, you also block your capacity to love. The truth is, emotional pain doesn't go away just because we ignore it. It waits. It waits for the silence. It waits for the night. It waits for the moment your walls are down and your heart is just a little bit open. And then it rises. Not to destroy you, but to ask, will you feel me now? And here lies the sacred choice, to keep numbing and keep surviving, or to feel, and begin living. Yes, It's terrifying to feel again. When you've spent years protecting yourself from pain, joy can feel dangerous. Love can feel risky. Vulnerability can feel like exposure. But this is where healing begins, not in avoiding life, but in returning to it fully. When you stop numbing, the world begins to awaken inside you again. A bird's song can bring tears to your eyes. A stranger's kindness can touch you deeply. Your own laughter, real, full, unforced, surprises you. These are signs that the numbness is wearing off, that you are coming back to life. And yes, sometimes the pain returns too. But this time, you don't run. You don't hide. You greet it with compassion. You feel it. And you let it pass. You learn that emotions are waves, not threats. They rise. They peak. They fall. And through it all, you remain. So no, you can't numb the pain without numbing the joy. But when you choose to feel, you also choose to live. And life, real life, is worth it, even when it hurts. 6. Healing feels lonely. But you're not alone. There's a moment in healing that no one prepares you for, when it feels like you're the only one going through it. Friends drift away. Conversations feel shallow. You look around and wonder, why does everyone else seem fine while I feel like I'm falling apart? It's isolating. The kind of loneliness that doesn't just sit next to you. It wraps around you. And the hardest part is that healing, by its nature, is deeply personal. No one else can do it for you. No one else can fully understand the battles you're fighting inside. But listen closely, feeling lonely does not mean you're alone. There are people all around the world. People you've never met. People watching this very same video, who are sitting in their rooms right now with tear-streaked faces, aching hearts, and the same question in their minds, does anyone else feel like this? And the answer is yes. Yes, we do. Healing feels lonely because you are stepping away from old connections that were built on pain, on pretending, on unspoken rules that kept you small. You are no longer willing to shrink just to be accepted. You are no longer okay with hiding your truth to keep the peace. That's why it feels like people are pulling away. But maybe you're just outgrowing the spaces that never saw the real you. Still, it hurts. Of course it hurts. You miss the comfort of fitting in, even if it came at the cost of your soul. But this space you're in now, this empty, quiet, unfamiliar space, is not punishment. It's preparation. You are making room. Room for people who meet you where you are. People who don't need you to wear a mask. People who speak your language of healing, growth, depth. They're out there. They are walking their own quiet path right now. Just like you. So please, don't confuse this chapter of solitude with abandonment. Don't think that just because you're walking alone, you are unloved. You are deeply, invisibly, undeniably connected to every soul who's ever chosen to rise from their pain and search for the light. You are not alone in your healing. You are in sacred company. 7. Letting go is an act of courage. We often hear that healing requires letting go. Letting go of pain, of people, of the past. But no one talks about how terrifying that actually feels. Letting go sounds peaceful when spoken aloud. In reality, it feels like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down at everything you've ever known, and being asked to step into empty air. Even if the things you are clinging to hurt you, they are familiar. They are known. They have shaped your world. And the mind, wired for survival, would rather stay in familiar pain than risk unknown freedom. But healing demands a different kind of bravery. The bravery to unclench your fists even when you're afraid of what you'll lose. Letting go is not weakness. It's not giving up. It's not failure. Letting go is an act of courage. It is looking at the things you once thought you needed. The toxic relationship. The self-blame. The endless striving for approval and saying, I choose myself now. It is trusting that your worth is not tied to who stayed, who left, or what broke you. It is releasing the stories you've outgrown. Even when a part of you still whispers, maybe it could have been different. And yes, it hurts. There will be moments when you miss what you let go of, even if it was never really good for you. There will be nights when you question everything, when the empty space left behind feels unbearable. But hold on. Trust the process. Because in that empty space, something new can finally be born: self-respect, peace, wholeness. Letting go is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your freedom. The things that are meant for you will not require you to betray yourself to keep them. The love that is meant for you will not make you small. The life that is meant for you will not require you to numb your spirit just to survive it. Letting go creates space for the blessings that can only find you when your hands are no longer full of what was never truly yours. So breathe. Open your hands. Trust the fall. You are not losing everything. You are shedding what you no longer are. 8. Pain is a messenger, not the enemy. We spend so much of our lives running from pain. We treat it like a curse, an invader, something cruel and unfair. We silence it with distraction. We numb it with habits. We curse it under our breath in the quiet moments when it won't let us sleep. But what if pain isn't here to destroy you? What if, beneath its sharp edges, it's trying to speak to you? Pain is not the enemy. It's a messenger. It comes to tell you that something needs your attention. Something deep within you is out of alignment. A boundary violated. A truth denied. A part of your soul you've abandoned in order to please, to survive, to fit in. Pain shows up not to punish, but to awaken. It says, something here is not okay. Will you listen now? When we stop treating pain as the villain and start treating it as a teacher, something incredible happens. We begin to hear its wisdom. We begin to see that the ache in your chest is the voice of the child in you still waiting to be loved. That the grief in your bones is the echo of all the things you never got to say. That the anxiety is your intuition, screaming through the noise, trying to lead you home. Pain is precise. It knows exactly where your healing needs to happen. It doesn't knock on random doors. It returns again and again to the wound that hasn't yet been honored. Not to torment you, but to free you. Yes, it hurts. But not all pain is a threat. Some pain is a doorway. Some pain is the soul's way of shaking you awake, asking you to return to yourself, to slow down, to listen, to feel. Because only in feeling it can you finally release it. So instead of asking, how do I make this pain go away? Try asking, what is it trying to tell me? You might be surprised by what you hear. 9. You are grieving the self you used to be. Healing is not just about fixing what's broken. It's not simply about healing old wounds, mending fractured hearts, or letting go of the past. Healing is also about grieving the person you used to be. The version of yourself that existed before the pain, before the awakening, before the shift. And this grief, it's real. When you go through life without questioning, without growing, you are not forced to confront the parts of you that need healing. But once you begin your journey of self-discovery, something shifts. You start to see the patterns, the choices, the habits that no longer serve you. You begin to feel the tension between who you were and who you are becoming. And in that tension, grief is born. You grieve the version of yourself that once fit into the old relationships. You grieve the person who used to hide her emotions to keep the peace. You grieve the you who stayed small to avoid rejection. You grieve the identity that kept you safe, but also kept you stuck. This grief isn't about missing the good old days. It's about letting go of an old self that no longer matches who you are now. This grief is sacred. It's a release. It's a death of a version of yourself that no longer serves your highest good. You are not losing yourself. You are evolving into the person you were always meant to be. But like any birth, it is messy. It is uncomfortable. And it feels like a kind of death. Even though it is the birth of a more authentic version of you, you may miss the old you. The one who didn't have to think so deeply. The one who lived in the safety of routine and predictable outcomes. But remember, grieving the past isn't about longing for it to return. It's about making peace with the fact that you've outgrown it. You're grieving who you once were because you're ready to step into the person you're meant to become. So don't rush this process. Don't try to move through the grief too quickly. Honor it. Let it flow. Because on the other side of this grief, you'll find a life that is more aligned with who you truly are. And that is worth every tear. 10. Your healing is not linear. One of the biggest misconceptions about healing is that it should happen in a straight line. We expect that after a few weeks of working on ourselves, we'll be fine. That one day, we'll wake up and all our pain will be gone. Our wounds completely healed. But the truth is, healing is messy. It's unpredictable. And it's not linear. There will be days when you feel like you've made incredible progress. Like the weight of your past is finally lifting. You'll wake up feeling lighter, stronger, more at peace. And then, without warning, there will be days when everything comes crashing back. You'll feel overwhelmed by the weight of your emotions, haunted by memories, paralyzed by the same old fears. And in those moments, you may wonder, am I going backwards? Am I even healing? Here's the truth. You are healing. Even on the days when it feels like you're not. Even on the days when the pain feels unbearable. Even when you're caught in the depths of your emotions. Healing isn't just about the good days. It's about how you show up for yourself on the tough days too. It's about how you learn to navigate the ups and downs, knowing that each setback is part of the journey. Healing is not about perfection. It's about growth. Even if that growth isn't always visible. It's about finding strength in the moments when you feel weakest, learning from the days when you stumble, and being compassionate with yourself through it all. So when you find yourself questioning your progress, remember this: healing is like the seasons. There are times of rapid growth, times of quiet stillness, and times when everything feels barren. But in each phase, something is happening. Something is shifting. Something is being rebuilt. Even when you can't see it, your healing is not linear. It's a spiral. You may find yourself revisiting the same wounds. But each time you do, you're looking at them from a deeper place, a higher perspective. With each round of pain, you grow stronger. With each round of healing, you become more of the person you are meant to be. So be patient with yourself. Trust the process. And remember, even in the setbacks, you are moving forward. 11. Healing is an act of rebirth. Healing is not just about getting better. It's not about returning to the way things were before the pain. Healing is an act of rebirth. It's about emerging from the ashes of your old self, shedding the skin of your past, and stepping into a new chapter. A new version of who you are meant to become. Much like the phoenix that rises from the fire, your healing requires that you burn away the old parts of you that no longer serve your higher purpose. The parts of you that were formed out of fear, out of survival, out of the need to conform. These parts of you might have protected you once, but they no longer fit your growing soul. So, to heal, you must let them go. You must let them burn away so something new can emerge. The process of healing is not easy. It is not comfortable. But it is beautiful. Just like the pain of labor. The birth of something new requires pushing through the discomfort, the unknown, the fear. But when you break through, when you emerge from the dark, you are born again. You are no longer the person you once were. You are stronger, wiser, more in tune with your own soul. Healing is about reconnecting with the deepest parts of yourself. The parts that have been buried beneath layers of fear, doubt, and old wounds. As you heal, you make space for these parts of you to rise, to speak, to shine. You allow yourself to be whole again. And just like birth, this rebirth is a messy, beautiful process. It's a process of shedding, of crying, of growing. But in the end, you stand taller. You stand freer. You stand whole. Healing is not about going back to who you once were. It's about moving forward into a new version of yourself. One that is more authentic, more aligned with your truth, and more capable of living fully, deeply, and without fear. 12. The gift of healing. You will never be the same. Healing isn't just about getting past your pain. It's not about erasing what happened or pretending like it didn't matter. Healing is about transformation. It is about becoming someone new, someone wiser, someone who understands that the scars you carry are not marks of defeat, but symbols of strength. You will never be the same after you heal. You will carry the lessons of your pain with you, not as burdens, but as treasures. Each scar will remind you of your resilience. Each tear will echo the strength it took to let go. Each moment of pain will have been a step toward the version of yourself you were always meant to be. People often say, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." But healing isn't about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about learning to stand tall in the face of your fears. To walk with your head held high even after everything you've been through. The pain you've faced has shaped you. But it does not define you. You define you. The gift of healing is that you will learn to see life differently. You will begin to understand the fragility of life, the beauty in the struggle, and the power of the present moment. You will learn that your happiness is not dependent on anyone else. That your peace comes from within. And that your worth is not tied to your past, your mistakes, or the opinions of others. When you heal, you unlock a deeper connection to yourself. You awaken parts of your soul that were dormant, waiting for the right moment to rise. The more you heal, the more you will trust yourself, the more you will love yourself, and the more you will embrace the beautiful, messy, wonderful human you are becoming. So yes, you will never be the same. And that's the greatest gift of all. 13. Embrace the unknown. The hardest part of healing is not the pain. It's not the tears or the sleepless nights. The hardest part of healing is letting go of the old self and stepping into the unknown. It's terrifying to release what's familiar, even if it's been hurting you. It's scary to face a future that's uncertain, to trust that something better is waiting for you. But here's the thing. The unknown is not something to fear. It is the space of possibility. It is the canvas on which you can create a new version of yourself. The future is not written in stone, and you are the artist of your own life. The healing journey is not about knowing exactly where you're going, but about having the courage to step forward, even when you can't see the whole path. When you embrace the unknown, you free yourself from the chains of your past. You stop being defined by the pain you've experienced. And you begin to define yourself by the choices you make now. You allow yourself to grow, to evolve, and to explore the limitless potential that is waiting for you on the other side of fear. Healing is an act of trust. It's trusting that even when things don't make sense, they are leading you exactly where you need to be. It's trusting that every painful step, every uncomfortable moment, is part of your becoming. So as you move forward, embrace the unknown. Trust that what you don't yet understand is exactly what you need to move to the next stage of your journey. The road may not be clear, but it is yours to walk. And with each step, you are becoming more of who you were always meant to be.